She was born in a valley of emerald mountains and whispering rivers, where the call to prayer floated through the morning mist and the laughter of children once filled the air. Her name was Malala, a name that would one day echo beyond borders, but in those early years she was only a girl with a book pressed close to her chest and a dream burning quietly behind her eyes. She walked the dusty paths of m8o with her school bag swaying against her shoulder. Her father Jihad spoke of learning as a light that could never be dimmed, and she believed him. She believed that words were stronger than fear, and that a pencil could write freedom into the world. But darkness came to the valley like a storm with no warning. The echo of boots replaced the songs of birds. The men with guns arrived with black flags and promises of silence. They spoke of purity, but carried hatred in their eyes. They burned schools. They tore down hope brick by brick and told little girls that their voices were forbidden. They said knowledge was a sin and that women belonged behind locked doors. And yet Malala stood in her uniform, her braids tied tight, and refused to bow. She sat in her classroom with her heart pounding and the air trembling outside, but she would not close her book. She wrote secretly. She spoke softly but fearlessly. Her words found their way into the airwaves of the BBC through hidden messages of truth from a girl who refused to disappear. Each night her father listened as she read her diary of resistance. Her mother prayed as gunfire cracked in the distance. And still the young girl of sweat dreamed of peace. She dreamed of walking freely in sunlight without the shadow of war on her back. She dreamed of a Pakistan where every girl could learn without permission, where courage was not punished but celebrated. The Taliban grew angrier. They called her dangerous. They said her voice had become too loud for a girl, and still she spoke. She spoke because silence was heavier than fear. She spoke because she knew that one voice can awaken 1,000 sleeping souls. Then came the day when the valley held its breath. The school bus rattled down the narrow road. The laughter of girls filled the air for a fleeting moment, and then the sound of a single shot shattered everything. Time slowed. The world went silent. The bullet meant to end. Her voice tore through her head, and for a moment it seemed the darkness had won. Her body fell. Her blood touched the dust of her homeland, and the world held its breath. Mothers wept, fathers clenched their fists, and the mountains of sweat bowed in grief. But even as her heart flickered between worlds, her spirit refused to fade. She was flown across skies, carried by prayers and hope to a land far from home. Her body broken, but her soul unbroken. In a cold hospital room in Birmingham, England, machines whispered life back into her veins, and the girl who defied silence opened her eyes again. Her face scarred, her voice soft but alive. The doctors called it a miracle, her father called it destiny, and the world called it courage. But Malala only smiled weakly and whispered that she would continue. She had not come back to rest. She had returned to fight. Her voice became stronger than before. She stood before crowds of strangers and leaders of nations and spoke not with anger but with hope. She said, books and pens are our most powerful weapons. She said, let us pick up our pens and write our own future. And in that moment the world remembered the power of a child who refused to obey fear. She met presidents. She spoke at the United Nations. Her words carried through halls where history was written. Her eyes still held the innocence of sweat, yet behind them was the wisdom of pain. She told the world that one child, one teacher, one book, one pen could change everything. She became the youngest Nobel Peace Prize laureate, but even then, she wrote letters to leaders and stood beside refugees. She became a sister to every child whose voice was taken and a challenge to every power that tried to silence truth. Yet through it all, she never let fame harden her. She laughed softly. She spoke gently. She still blushed when her father praised her. She was the same girl from the valley, still holding a book against her heart, still believing that knowledge could change destiny. And when she returned to Pakistan years after the attack, the air trembled again, but this time not with fear, with love. The streets filled with faces old and young who came to see the girl who had once left in silence and returned in triumph. She walked through her homeland with tears in her eyes. The mountains watched her with pride. The wind carried her name like a song, and every child who saw her that day understood that courage can rise even from pain. She visited her old school, the walls still marked by time. She touched the desk, smiled at the children, and whispered, never stop learning, never stop dreaming, never stop speaking. Her story became a mirror for humanity, a reminder that even in the darkest valleys, light is born from those who refused to bend. Her journey spoke not of revenge but of resilience, not of anger but of awakening. She taught the world that bravery is not the absence of fear, but the decision to face it. She showed that the pen of a single girl could shake empires, that the whisper of truth could outlast the roar of violence. She reminded us that education is not privilege, it is power, that silence is not peace, it is surrender, and that the smallest voice can change the loudest world. And so, when the night falls over the valleys of the earth and fear tries again to steal the songs of the young, her story rises like dawn. Her name carries the weight of hope. Malala, the girl who spoke when the world was silent, her words still echo through classrooms, through hearts, through time, telling every child who listens that no bullet can kill a dream, and no darkness can bury a voice that has learned to rise.